seeing, and it's in the finals right now. And for you control players out there who are wondering what a blue-white-red deck should look like moving forward, this might be it.
You know, Iafrate has kept a 5-card hand on the play. That negates a lot of his ability. You know, the fact he's on the play, great. 5-card hand, not so great.
I'm with you there. As we see a Root-Bound Crag, here's a Mountain. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be. It's just a Rakdos Cackler who's going to pass the turn back. So if you're Yeoh, you got to be thrilled with how this is starting off.
The rest of his hand is Firefist Striker, Boros Reckoner, Hell Rider. And it looks like a second Hell Rider drawn.
All right, so Firefist Striker going to come to town. That's, I mean, again, you see the difference between this and a Lightning Mauler. Whereas, you know, if this was a Lightning Mauler, again, it wouldn't be great, but at least it would put some pressure on Yeoh, because now Yeoh is allowed to just cast a Think Twice and just start to build the velocity of his deck, start to get to see a lot of cards, make sure he hits his land drops, he's not underneath a significant amount of pressure, and you see him bring a Mizium Mortars to the front of his hand, and he just is going to pass the turn back. Also has Turn Burn over there as well. So we see Iafrate, he's going to draw a Searing Spear for the turn. Here come the idiots in Rakdos Cackler and Firefist Striker. And Yeoh is just going to use his life total as a resource here. He said, I'm going to go down to 14. I'm probably going to cast a Think Twice here. Yep, draw a card. Going to untap, going to draw. He draws his 4th land. And we'll see if maybe he has a Supreme Verdict looming. You see him moving a bunch of removal spells to the front of his hand, a couple copies of Azorius Charm, because that's what his deck is full of, is just removal spells.
Right. And here's, these Azorius Charms are just going to be the backbreaker. Drew does not have a 3rd land, and Ken could charm both his creatures, which kind of guarantee that he really doesn't ever draw another land.
So you're seeing a Azorius Charm and then a burn from the turn and burn. He's going to take care of the Rakdos Cackler. Iafrate's just going to follow up with another Rakdos Cackler and pass the turn back. Yeoh with a Sulphur Falls is his 5th land.
Yeah, he doesn't actually have that Sphinx's Revelation yet, but what he does have is Jace, Architect of Thought, which is pretty safe. He knows it's safe to tap out for this turn because he knows Drew's not going to draw another land. You know, it's just a Rakdos Cackler in play.
And so he's going to move Jace up to 5, -1/-0 for the attack step, so long as he does remember to trigger it. And so we'll see where Rakdos Cackler is going to go, if it's going to go towards Yeoh, if it's going to go towards Jace.
It just goes to the dome.
Yeah. I mean, attacking Jace is kind of futile, right? Like, if you're wasting your time attacking that, you're so happy if you're Yeoh, as he draws another Planeswalker in the form of Tamiyo the Moon Sage.
Right, and so that'll lock down with, you know, Drew's creature. Drew can only swing for 1 right now. I mean, Team Planeswalker over here is more than enough to close out the game.
Yeah. The Super Friends are here, and they're making life very difficult on Iafrate. As here's a Gorkland Rampager. He is going to Blood Rush that to take care of Tamiyo. But if you're Yeoh, you're like,
heads-up play.
Yeah, I mean, killing that is awesome for Iafrate because like it needs to be done. But if you're Yeoh, you're like, perfect. Like, you just wasted an attack step and a card to take care of my Tamiyo in my deck that's full of removal. Great.
Right, I mean, he traded again.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what all Ken wanted to do in the first place was trade. And here you'll probably see Ken take lands.
Yeah, make sure
he's got a Sphinx's Revelation in hand. Every land is actually another card.
Yep. So now he's going to play an island. You see his hand with Hollow Fountain. You're going to see Supreme Verdict clear up the Firefist Striker and the Rakdos Cackler. Jace, Architect of Thought still standing tall. Ken with access to a Mizium Mortars in his hand for the next turn, or Azorius Charm on this turn in case some sort of hasty threat comes along.
Right. He still does not have the 3rd red for Mizium Mortars. He just has 2, but not really an issue. I've already not casting threats.
So we're going to see Jace move up to 5. Searing Spear is going to push it down to 2.
Right, and Ken's just... If Drew's having to use his burn spells to do that, Ken probably feels like he's already won the game.
Yeah, I mean, this is best case scenario for him. Again, if the things are going towards the Planeswalkers and not your face, you know, your Sphinx Revelations are already great and they're only getting better.
Casting Revelation on 3, I find it interesting there that Ken opted not to shock himself on the shock land. If you're committed to that Revelation play, usually you want to shock just to get the extra card.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, he's using 6 mana for his Revelation there to draw 3 cards where, you know, he could just double flashback Think Twice, draw 2 cards, you know, draw into a land, play a land untapped, and then have a Revelation be for 5.
Yeah, there's no reason not to just make the Revelation for more.
So now we're going to see Jace go away. Here's a Summon the Legion, War Leader's Helix, and a Sulphur Falls. And
Drew could not move that card faster.
Do you want your win condition in a land, or would you like War Leader's Helix, a card I can almost certainly not beat?
Is that Ken takes the win con.
Sure.
He has enough removal in his hand that he should be able to deal with Drew's top decks.
And you see a Terminus over there. Here's Assemble the Legion.
All right, so now all Ken needs to do is continue to play kill spells. He has a win con going, and Drew doesn't have an answer to that in his deck.
Again, discard to Sacred Foundation for the turn. Here comes Boros Reckoner. Azorius Charm's going to put that back on top of the deck. Iafrate's going to follow up with a Burning Tree. No, he's not.
Right, because the problem is, I think you're saying he could Burning Tree Emissary into Reckoner, but because Emissary makes a green mana, it's not actually possible.
Yes. So Yeoh's going to draw a card. He draws a Searing Spear. It's like every draw for his turn is either a land that's going to go towards Sphinx Revelation or removal spell, which makes it so that Iafrate can't win.
To be fair, he did not draw another Revelation off the first Revelation. Not that it's entirely necessary right now, but...
And so now we are going to assemble the Legion. He's going to block. All right. Forest Reckoner is going to poke. Pillar of Flame is going to take care of that. Yeoh is going to take 2 damage from that.
So he goes to 13. So he dealt 3 damage in total to the Reckoner.
You just want to clear those Reckoners out of the way, which is definitely what you see him doing right now. Like, he knows another Reckoner is coming off the top of the deck because of the Azorius Charm last turn.
You see, pretty much for 5 mana here, a double cycled Think Twice.
And so Think Twice is going to get flashback again. It's going to draw him a War Leader's Helix. Here's a Searing Spear to take care of the Reckoner, so he gets to use all of his mana for the turn. Reckoner's going to go upstairs, knock Yeoh down to 10. But again, he's just using his life total as a resource, and he has so many ways to gain life back in his deck between Sphinx's Revelation and War Leader's Helix that taking those 3 points of damage are basically irrelevant.
And now he's drawing Dissipate, just another way to 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah.
I mean, he really just needs to, 1-for-1 trade for about 3 more turns, and that should be good enough.
Yeah. So here's a Burning Tree Emissary. Here's a Hell Rider. Yeoh's going to dissipate that. I mean, he can dissipate it. He can War Leader's Helix it. He can do a bevy of things to that Hell Rider. So Drew Iafrate is going to concede game number 1. Ken Yeoh does win game 1 with Blue-Red Control in what is looking to be a very good matchup for him.
Yeah, I mean, what a storyline tournament for Ken. Winning in 3. Having won 4 win-ins in a row. We'll bring you back to Booth. This is our final trivia question of the weekend.
Yep.
So, same rules as before, but we're going to double the prize.
Yes, it's going to be 12 months of premium rules again, for those of you who are just joining us.
So, I want to talk a little about Ken Yeoh's deck. We've seen it on camera for a fair number of rounds recently.
Yep.
And what I'm excited about is we have a blue-white-red control deck. Possibly we have a new Sphinx's Revelation deck in the format.
Feels like we do.
And it's thanks to a couple of the new cards in the format. Obviously, we saw War Leader's Helix that game, which stands to be a really great tool against aggro. But the card I want to look at is, I'm asking you for the name of a card. It is probably the control deck's best answer to a Thragtusk. I'm looking for a Fuse card that is really a Fuse card that's now being played in Ken Yeoh's blue-white-red deck that's helping him answer Thragtusks and other problematic creatures.
If you know the answer to that, hashtag your answer on Twitter, hashtag SCG Premium. Again, this is going to be for 12 months of premium. We will give away the winner after this match is over. This is our final match of this particular tournament. We are going to crown a champion. We will draw from one of the people who do get it correct. So again, it's about accuracy, not speed.
But to win, you have to have, as you see on the bottom of the screen, the hashtag SCG Premium.
That's correct. As we are going to analyze the sideboards here, we're going to go to Drew Iafrate because he is going to need some help, to say the least.
I mean, well, the first thing he probably needs to hope is he can't mold a 5 again.
That cannot happen.
So,
I mean, you take a look here. There's 3 copies of Museum Wars, 3 Volcanic Strings, 2 Electrickeries, 4 Skullcrack, 3 Mark of Weakness.
All right, we found a 4 of winner and about nothing else there.
Yeah, I mean, 4 Skullcrack is a card that can come in, of course, for Pillar of Flame. I think that's an easy transition. The big problem here, Matthias, is that when you look at his sideboard for Drew, none of these cards stick out to you as cards that go, hey, I'm here to beat blue-white-red, because blue-white-red wasn't a major player coming into this tournament.
Right, Skullcrack typically sees play for the Thragtusk decks. You probably Skullcrack just because it's more damage, and there are some worlds where you might hit a Sphinx's Revelation off it, and you'd be pretty excited if you did. Not that it's all that likely.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the only card I see coming in. I see a pretty easy swap for Skullcrack for Pillar of Flame, and that's really about it. I mean, maybe Drew tries to get a little bit lucky with Volcanic Strength.
I mean, playing auras against Ken's deck just seems like such a liability. Yeah. It's not like Ken's blocking anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. It is definitely a liability, especially when you know that there are 3 Azorius Charms, a heavy number of Supreme Verdicts, and even additional copies of Terminus coming in. It's not ideal.
Do you feel like War Leader's Helix has made Skullcrack a more acceptable sideboard in the matchup?
I mean, sort of. Like how much is your Skullcrack accomplishing on War Leader's Helix? Because War Leader's Helix is still killing something. So I mean, the thought is that it's just a 4-mana removal spell. But it being a 4-mana removal spell isn't really that bad.
No, it certainly isn't that bad. It does save a 4 life gain. I'm not sure that pushes it to the point where I like drawing the card yet.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you there as well. As Yeoh, we took a look at his sideboard earlier, but I mean, he's just boarding in even more removal and probably boarding out his counter magic.
Right. Cardless Dissipate, not a particularly strong card here. We probably will just see, you know, he has two. Yeah, he can board up to 4 pillars. He probably will have all 4 of them, as well as I don't know if he wants to go all the way up on Terminus. The card's a little expensive.
Yeah, but the blowout factor.
Yeah.
The blowout factor is huge because, I mean, the thing about Terminus, yeah, it's kind of like a variance-ridden card, but when Terminus is good, it's like completely insane. As you see, Iafrate taking at least 1 mulligan down here to 6. And, you know, Terminus is the kind of card that just turns the game around. It almost ends the game. Like, if he has like an early Terminus for like a Burning Emissary plus Foothill
right.
turn.
Drew puts 3 creatures on the board and Ken just flips the Terminus on.
Yeah, it's just over.
It's just over.
Yeah. There's just like no coming back. And that's the power of Terminus. Like, you know, and even as a 6 mana like removal spell or like a 6 mana 2-for-1, it's not even that bad then.
Right. Well, as long as you have enough removal earlier to survive until 6 mana, then you can make the card into another 1-for-1 or maybe 2-for-1, which is really what your deck's just trying to do, is that every turn.
Yeah. So if you guys are just joining us, Cedric Phillips and Matthias Sun here in the booth at Star City Games Open Series. We've made our way to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. If you guys do want to join us on Twitter at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDAL, we appreciate you guys joining us early this morning, or if you are in London, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
All right, so Iafrate gets to keep on 6.
Lucky him.
Yeah.
As he has a turn 1 Rakdos Cackler. And so now here is a Sacred Foundry untapped, there's a Pillar of Flame, and it's just going to be 1-for-1 city here for Yeoh.
I mean, because of the mulligan and the fact he's in the draw, Yeoh's already up 2 cards. If he can just continue to 1-for-1, that should be enough.
So here's a Burning Emissary into a Strongkirk
Into
Noble.
a Strongkirk Noble, not into a Searing
Yeah, he shows
Spear.
him a Searing Spear. He says, let me take that back, please. It's going to be tough for me to win anyway.
And it's like a double pillar hand for Ken Yeoh.
So he's going to take care of Strongkirk Noble. Burning Emissary still left on the battlefield. As Iafrate is going to attack for 2. He's going to follow that up with, I think he has a Firefish Striker hanging out over here. He does. So just another creature.
More creatures, and Drew does not have the luxury of playing around a Supreme Verdict here. He just has to hope his opponent doesn't have one.
Yeah. And so Yeoh's just going to play Glacial Fortress, pass the turn back. Here's an attack for 4 from Iafrate. Yeoh's going to move down to 12. He's going to cast a Think Twice, draw a card.
All right, so here's a window here for Drew. Ken didn't have a kill spell that turn. Drew's got to hope that there's no Verdict looming, but there is.
Yeah, the Verdict is in. Those creatures are going to die. So Yeoh is going to clear that up. We see Iafrate. Is it time for that Searing Spear?
Can't think of another time where it'll be good.
Yeah. Let's push him down to 9, Lava Spike style. You just have to keep moving along, try to trudge through this and hope that Yeoh doesn't have very much. So there's a Firefish Striker, pass the turn back.
And 5th land, now we're going to see an issue for Drew. Well, Ken's he's gonna opt to turn burn here instead of making a Tamiyo. I think that 2 life off the Shockland was just more than he wanted to pay.
Sure. When he's at 9 life, he just wants to use his life total as a resource, I think. You know, he doesn't see a need to take the damage, and now here's Tamiyo. Now he can lock down a land.
That's huge. As we saw Drew not hitting his 3rd land. There were cards like Boros Reckoner that he's waiting to play, and it's going to make that very hard to cast now.
So Skullcrack, in response to the Tamiyo tapping a land, gonna get 3 damage across. Here's another Skullcrack. Okay, so he's just taking care of the Tamiyo and passing the turn back. But again, if that's what you're doing with your Skullcracks, you are so happy if you're Ken Yeoh.
Drew, now how do you feel about Drew also had the option of putting both those Skullcracks at the dome, putting Ken down to 3. I almost like that better. It's close.
Yeah, I mean, I almost like that a little bit better, but I think the thing that I like most of all is that there's an Aetherling on the table.
Yeah.
Versus a Boros Reckoner, and I mean, Boros Reckoner wins a lot of fights.
but you know, Aetherling doesn't actually die.
Yeah, it doesn't win this fight. And so now here comes Aetherling, gonna be unblockable plus a little bit of pump.
For 6. And I like that he's doing it for 6 because it's a 3-turn clock, and even if you pump it to 8, it's still a 3-turn clock. I like that Ken recognizes this and doesn't feel a need to go all the way to 8.
And so he's just gonna, you saw him phase it out, and now he's gonna block the Aetherling. He's gonna phase it out again. Here's a Burning Emissary, and
he's phased it out before damage, so the Reckoner actually doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, there are some uphill climbs in life, and then there's facing an Aetherling. And I know people like to make the joke of I used to walk up the street, like up hills both ways. That's what it feels like when you're playing against an Aetherling. It's just so hard to beat.
Swings Aetherling for 6, and he blinks it back in.
Iafrate has no cards in his hand. He's going to come across yet again. Aetherling's going to get in front of Boros Reckoner. He's going to blink it out. Here's a Strongkirk Noble.
All right, that should be it.
6. Yeah,
Ken knows it. Yep. Untaps, swings in for 6. Aetherling gets the job done, and Ken Yeoh completes the comeback, defeats Drew Iafrate quickly in under 15 minutes, 2 games to 0, to be our Star City Dallas Standard champion.
That was under 15 minutes. That's insane. That is insanity. That was under 15 minutes.
That's how when you get a lot of red green and you're sending in your top 8, that's you get to have that.
That's absolutely crazy. Congratulations to Ken Yeoh. We're going to have a winner's interview with him in just a moment here, but wow. Wow. I mean, if you want to look at a tournament, if we want to analyze this top 8, I mean, we had 2 red green aggro decks. We had the Aristocrats. We had a Naya aggro deck. 2 copies of Junk Reanimator, a green-white aggro deck from Jose Cervantes, who was our #1 seed. And then we had Ken Yeoh with blue-white-red. I mean, a very diverse top 8.
Yeah.
Is the impressive thing here. No Jund this go around. I mean, Jund has the opportunity to redeem itself in our second standard open today. But I
then I remember Jund losing both the win-ins for the top, both of our 2
Yeah.
feature matches for the top 8. So certainly there was Jund. You'll see in the deck list in the top 16 there should be some of those decks.
Yeah, that deck's not dead by any stretch of the imagination. But the big story here is blue-white-red winning. And we did ask a question about blue-white-red for our premium. William Strickland at Junsis for all. That's a funny joke, my friend.
Oh.
You did have the answer correct. The answer, of course, was
Turnburn.
correct. A card that I think I don't want to say that that's the card that brought blue-white-red back to the show, but I think it's an incredible tool for the deck.
I mean, I really like how it answers Thragtusk.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best one, is that they don't get anything with it. It's just a 5-mana kill Thragtusk spell.
Join me in congratulate this Saturday.
We're going to congratulate Ken Yeoh here on the loudspeaker.
Champion Ken Yeoh.
So congratulations to him on what was it was a very impressive top 8. Every time that we had him on camera starting at round 9, he won that mirror, as you said, against Blue and Red. Then he won the match against Jund pretty easily, honestly. And then you see him dispatch green-white aggro. Then he dispatches back-to-back red-green aggro decks. His deck is incredibly well situated for aggressive matchups, and it doesn't seem like when there's no concern about having to prepare your deck for the mirror and you can gear towards one thing, which is aggressive decks right now.
That's a control deck's dream, is to only have one sort of thing to face.
Yeah.
The good part about control